Sometimes they cry crocodiles in front of you and they have two men hiding in the background. They say, oh shit boy, sorry for me. And the man will still go there.
Now,
The man will still go there.
But that's, yeah.
if she doesn't want to do the DNA test, you have to tough it out and pull back. If she does not come to you and you see another man there fathering that child, he was in the same soup you was in. You always still in the same pot, which means there's a possibility. And as a man, I would go to that one and say, but Nigel, you know, I was the first man that she gave to and tried to put it down on me.
Grown Folks Only Podcast.
Welcome to Grown Folks Podcast, where tonight we'll be talking about the declining birth rate in St. Lucia and the taboo concepts of what you call geriatric pregnancy, which is pregnancies over the age of 35, and also the taboo concept of teenage pregnancy. So we'll open the floor from today back to the past. What do you think about teenage pregnancy?
Well, it's a question of affordability, no?
Affordability.
Affordability. Where you working? What you doing? How you end up in that situation?
You don't know they have an accident.
Back and after pill, I mean, what? Seriously?
What is wrong with that?
You support that? You gonna find it?
No, let me tell you, I do blood tests for a large portion of my life. They call, you have to be responsible with your penis and your vaginas. I hate to hear grown people come and say, I don't know how I ended up there. Oh my God, I don't know how it happened. The person take advantage of me. You're an adult. You spend some time out with the person. Don't tell me you don't know what was going to happen. And you know teenagers, sometimes they look at each other in a bathroom, they get pregnant. And then you find on the other end of the spectrum, you turn out your whole life as a couple, and then you try and make a child, and you hear you have something like polycystic ovaries, and you cannot make children, and the man don't want to check his sperm, and all kind of things. So, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Which part?
Just pick anything out of that, what you want to hear. The career woman.
Well, honestly speaking, I could speak personally because in my early teens or teenage years into my 20s, having a child was not even an option for me, like mentally. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to get a degree. I wanted to focus on my career. And I didn't want to have to focus on having to raise a child. Like, I didn't want to do that. No, it had nothing to do with that. Because there was plenty of opportunities for these things to happen. I just
But you can't afford it.
Exactly.
That's my point.
I'm accustomed to a certain lifestyle and I wanted to give my child the same lifestyle if I was to have a child. So how could I do that if I didn't have a degree? I didn't have a job. I didn't have any of these things. I was in school. I was a child myself. Why would a child want to create a child?
Let me do that. You see that? What am I doing? I'm trying to clap with one hand. It's not you alone making the child by yourself.
True.
It's you and somebody else. So yeah, I understand you want to have everything right, but they have such a thing as beautiful mistakes, you know.
I get that. That's totally fine. I literally have friends who've had children and I wouldn't call them mistakes, but it happened. It wasn't planned. And they made shit happen for them and their child. One of them had to go through doing school, university online in order to finish her degree, while still having a job and maintaining that mommy, student / professional woman lifestyle.
So essentially what you're saying is having a child is a setback in your life.
I didn't say it's a setback. I just saying I made a conscious choice to put my profession first. And to get to know myself. But it's what I was taught to do. And I just didn't feel like I should have to sacrifice. I wasn't ready to sacrifice my dream for another dream.
Let me ask you.
And at that same point in time, I wasn't in a relationship where I felt comfortable to have one.
You talking about it from your level of experience, but if you have to look at it like we're saying, talking about teenage pregnancy, you know, when you are a teenager, they don't thinking about nothing what you're thinking about now in this modern.
Oh, for sure. They're not thinking about half the things that
And you will find that sometimes these teenagers having fun. even if we have to take it back outside of what we know now, we operate more on a conscious level of ourselves. We think before we act.
Are we really more conscious?
Some of us,
Some, not all.
some.
Just because you go to school, I don't mean you're conscious.
Some.
You're brainwashed.
And then you look at
I
back.
have a whole degree and I feel
You look at the ones, you look at the ones who don't look at that dynamic, but they're having fun and expressing themselves and will get pregnant. They're not thinking about the money, how they're going to take care of the child or the dad. And these are the ones that you would find that have 6, 7. They barely working,
Jack provided.
but they have the children. They have the children. If we have to look at some of the older people that have 14 children, they were not thinking what you're thinking about them.
Yeah, but that's a completely different time period. We in a period now where financially shit is messed up, bro. The economy is wild.
hold on.
I'm
what
sorry.
you gonna tell
I am
me?
very sorry.
That's been-
$50,000 or $100,000 back then, you good. That ain't making you good now.
That very same concept of what you're talking about in terms of time period, right? And let's look at some contrasted elements, right? Back then, let's say the 90s,
Yeah.
coming into the early 2000s, the concept of emergency or the aquapil was
Not there.
Non-existent. Yeah.
right now, without a doctor's prescription, you can get that like over the counter, right? Am I right or am I right?
Yeah.
100%.
It's
But they raised the
it's a lot
price.
easier for you to get those remedies to the issue of teenage pregnancy as to what we experienced
Back then. Facts.
right? Don't you think that's part of the problem of what's happening now?
Yes.
All right. So it is part of the problem, right? And we have, like the topic suggests, we're dealing with a situation where we are underpopulated. Right? We are approaching a scenario where it's actually really, really bad. Right? That you right now working, your career and everything intact, everything going for you right now.
Yeah.
You may not get your pension when you're 60. That's the situation that we're facing right now.
Yep.
Right? The fact of that contributing factor is the fact that we're living in a society where you choose your career over having a child and building a family. That's contributing to that very problem that we have right now. How do you address that?
This is a cascading chain of events that started back in the 80s. But as you mentioned earlier, when we were talking about teenage pregnancy being a thing, where kids were like they will almost kick in when you're a young boy. If a breeze past, you get an erection. When you're a young lady, you see things. A man rub you the wrong way. You're like, what's this feeling? You were not fully exposed, and we've gone all to the point where it was pushed into young ladies that if you have a condom on you, that means you are easy or you are loose. Not because it's a preventative measure, that if in case the man comes, because the majority of men will go hoping to get something and not bring a condom because their cow feels better and they're okay. So if as a young lady is like, well, you don't have yours, well, I have one. You have a whole taboo concept about it. Then we fast forward to the career woman, the fast life, instant gratification of social media, and wanting to be out all the time and do what they have to do, and all the preventative measures that are readily available to you now. Oh, I can go and have diamond. I don't even sure if I go get pregnant, but after I finish with diamond tomorrow morning and go to the pharmacy, I get a pill, pop my pill. Next weekend do the same thing. And then birth control. And then all the other things that condoms have in spermicide. All these things have long-term effects on our body. And the more you use it, because the morning after pill is not something that's supposed to be used like vitamins. It's supposed to be something for emergency. Imagine putting all those hormones in your skin, and then what a lot of people don't know is not even on birth control. Back in the day, they remember them saying, you're supposed to be on birth control for 6 months, and then you go off, and then you go back on. And then women who are on birth control for 5, 6, 7, 8 years straight. The ramifications of that physically and hormonally affect. So the reducing birth rate has a lot of factors to go into, which now puts us in a situation where we're underpopulated. We can't afford to pay pension. We've raised pension from 60 to 65 because they're trying to see where they can get money. And even if we're not even worried about the pension, because what happens when my kid generation can't have kids anymore because of all the shit they do. They don't eat properly, they don't exercise, there's a lot of things. And then you go in the next 50 years and we realize we don't have anybody under 30.
But
That's what happening in Japan.
another contributing factor could very well be that men are not present in their homes. If you look at the workforce, there's so many women. Women are out working, so they have to work, they have to bear the children, they have to do all of that. So
That's my choice.
a
How is
lot
that
of
by
the time
choice?
you do not find men
No.
present in the home.
That is not
Do you
my
know?
choice.
Do you know?
That's not my
Wait.
choice. A lot of men drop the ball.
Did you bring in here? Because I'm going to ask you this very question.
Sure.
You have a workforce with a plethora of women.
About
How many of
80%
them- How
women.
many of them
Yeah.
have children?
Do you know that a child alone is a job on its own?
I know.
Of course, I have one.
Having a child is a job on its own.
A duty, not a job, a duty.
It's a duty. It's like a job.
It is a fiduciary responsibility to take care of your child. That's what it is. And I would say...
So
you
when you do not have, it is supposed to be a collective experience between a man and a woman having a child and sharing the responsibility of raising that child. Now you find there are a lot of men who are not present in the
So
home.
yeah.
Let me finish.
There are also more women than
Let
men.
me finish.
Finish your bro.
Yeah, let me finish. So when you have men who are not present in the homes, these women are supposed to go out, work all day, think about preparing that child for school, helping that child with homework, cooking, cleaning. You have work on your mind. Well, that is a lot to do.
Facts.
That is a lot to do.
By yourself.
Okay, hold on.
Who that choose a man in the first place?
Hold on,
That is what I was thinking.
But it doesn't have.
No, but I get her point because why would
does
women
that
want
make
to do that on their own?
Hold on.
It's not about choosing.
Besides the point. We're not. That is besides the point. That's besides the point.
And here's a factor that we forgetting. Back in the day, you had men who had multiple children. And the women, all of these men back in the day,
Multiple children by multiple women.
yes, multiple children and multiple women.
Uh-huh.
And all their children knew who their father was. All those children got a little something from the father because the women understood the kind of the man is on it. Just now,
But
Then-
I used to go and bring them to for the other children.
all right? Then,
Yeah.
because
They did.
women will have community.
And
So
they
they
had a-
all right,
they had
so
a whole
we
family.
child have nothing to do with that. Let's take care of the child. We know my husband is a piece of trash, whatever it was. We fast forward to men moving away because it happens with a father not being fully present, moving away and saying and seeing the different things and saying, well, you know what? I don't want to be in a relationship. You meet a chick, she portray this mask, you lay some pipe, she ready to break your windscreen and all kind of shit. So you're like, I don't want to deal with her. Then you have toxic women that figure, you know the man is a player. But unfortunately, the ego and pride of women believe their vagina is always the best vagina. So they go with the man and figure, I can tame it, right?
Like it's something so special you have there.
He tame it. You ain't tame him. I want to tie him. I'll get pregnant for him. Then you get pregnant for him, and that's still a tie him down. So now you take the child, and that's your weapon against him. So they have men now that go through, and then they know they're single. They know they're knocking different women. They know that woman for sure is not only fucking him, and she says she's pregnant. If we take a DNA test of every single child against their father in the world today, society will fucking explode.
That is 100%
I think so.
true.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you my experience, sir.
That is true.
I
That
have
is
seen
so
men
true.
come to me and say, boy, I'm not sure that child is mine. That girl was doing this at the time and that at the time, all kind of thing. And then fast forward 9 months, boop, the child born. Yeah, bro. Remember that conversation we had? You ready to go and take the test? They see the baby. What? Oh. Boy, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Good girl. Don't worry about that. What? Okay. She passed the eye test. Right. And I have seen some of the cold-hearted lies people can tell people, especially when it comes to pregnancy. They are sure they know there was mess wrong with that man, but that man a little more stable. Boy, let me go and have sex with mid, even though I know I'm pregnant already, so I could say mid.
So, a lot of men wearing jackets in Solution.
What about wearing
A
jackets?
lot of men wearing jackets.
Both things they call
Both
it.
team.
Yeah, both teams,
Yeah.
yeah.
Both things.
What does that mean?
It means your father and a child that's not biologically yours.
Oh.
Alright.
Okay.
So you are the
That
father.
must be inherited from my
But
friend.
you're not the father.
You are the father, but
Let me tell you, I like that.
You do it. Voting culture.
Voting culture.
It exists.
I like that DNA test. I'm going to pay 1,500 for DNA test.
Wait.
All that?
That's your field. So you telling me a DNA test is going to cost 1,500 EC?
1,500 easy.
You lie.
I've heard
So that's
it.
why we are so many voting. So that's it.
I would just
But let me give you.
No, but as man, if you want to know, you should pay.
No, as man, I don't know if spend 1,500.
But bro,
Why wouldn't you? But look at it, $1,500 as opposed to how much more thousands of dollars for 18 years.
Amazon.com. See that thing? I could say, bro.
my brother, I prefer to pay 1,500 on a DNA test
Yeah.
than to fall in love with a child that's not mine, with
Fact.
pampers, this, that. You know how much it can break somebody to think that is your child and then go find out when you have to look for a visa or something or organ transplant, and that's not your
I
child.
say no, but
Like, you spend a whole 15 years on the child.
Ashton there.
Not even money, 15 years on the child.
1,500 EC for a DNA test.
Yeah, man.
I think
Yes.
that's a
What?
cost effective way. That's savings right there.
That's savings right there.
Let me tell you.
That's
But-
why I say
Yo, school expensive as shit, bro. That's savings.
One semester of books in secondary school.
Yeah.
And hey, y'all.
Like 1 year of formula.
And listen,
Exactly.
You ain't talking pampers.
wait.
You ain't talking
Chemistry book.
pampers and
Hey.
$100, you know.
Carol, wait, y'all. Y'all hear all what you're talking about there, right? And the expense of all of that. So imagine a single mother
No.
having to do all of that by herself.
No. Gilma have a point. Speak your point, Gilma. No. Sometimes you don't ask to be a single mother.
You chose.
And you neglect. No, young men
It
are
does not
neglecting the
necessarily
fact
have to
that
be
some
that.
men don't show the
It don't
fuck up.
necessarily have to be
Y'all
that.
don't show up.
Now, this is where I have a problem.
This society is shitty.
This is where I have a problem. If you lay down with a man, it takes two hands to clap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know you're not on birth control, you know you're taking your Becal, there is a chance you put your hand in the fire, you must get burned.
Now,
You choose the man the same way the man chooses you. If you
Exactly.
find out you're pregnant and you talk to the man, you have to find out what he wants because I'm not
Even
I'm
before
not
you
for
find out you're
abortion,
pregnant, the
but
same
at the same time, you figure you reach a point that you're a month and a half, 2 months, you're in the space where you can have an abortion and realize mate's an asshole, mate's not going to take care of that child. Sometimes it's better to do that than
Agreed.
bring a child into this world to be fatherless and put the mother through stress.
Now,
Facts.
this is illegal insemination.
No,
Or weaponize the child.
Now, in my perspective, clearly, the single parent concept, I'm not going to go on single mother. The concept of single parent.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with everybody making an argument for it. But we have to understand that you, as the person bearing the child, you know that's your child. There is all a surety that is your child. You have to take in consideration that some men may not show up because they are not sure that is their child.
Take a test.
There are sometimes when you're messing around as a woman, you in your wild phase, you do your thing, you come up with a child, and you're not sure who the father is. You go to this person, you all see them videos, they've got more reason.
Yeah.
You all see those things.
They choose the
we cannot-
good man.
You cannot trivialize the concept as to why you end up in that situation. You can't trivialize that part. That part that brought you to the point of single motherhood. What was my contribution to that?
Yeah, but
As important
it
as
was
being single.
looking at
agreed.
it from the dynamic.
100%.
Looking at it from the dynamic of why our birth rate is going down and not having fathers who are present in the home and just the cost of living right now, how it is.
Astronomical.
But it's
Facts.
really worse than it was when we had cholera, no roads, 1-2 bananas, and slave masters. Is it really worse now than it was back then?
Yes, the cost of living is worse. It is worse.
Exactly better now.
You know, I have a different concept about
No.
children, right? Those of us who have. My life before my son, as far as I'm concerned, was more of a struggle than with my son in my life.
I would
You have-
100%
you have a
agree with
focal
that. I 100% agree with
You have a
that.
focal point.
Exactly.
You have a focal
My
point.
life before my son, I would have gone and by the road and probably do a DJ gig for $80. You know, and it'll take a little. I have no responsibility. You know, I don't. Where can I now go and tell somebody, "You give me that $80"? Nah, I can't do $80. I will not do $80. So $80, I'm going to put pampers in it, on him. You know, going to take care of it.
Facts.
So I have to elevate. So if we stop looking at children as expense, even if they are an expense,
And that is what I was
right,
getting.
and look at them as what they really are, our investment.
Facts.
Our
You have to look at
investment
it
in
from a
our
lot of people who are on the ground. We're looking at it from our own
It's a focal
dynamic.
point.
It's not just from our own dynamic. and how we see it.
Level up.
You made a point. You made a point a while ago, right? Gilman made a point. Jason made a point. You made a point. They're connected for me. They are men. Like the person that you said that you mentioned when you said, "I want to be born," you asked him, and he's like, "Boy, just leave that alone." Sometimes when we just decide, babe, I hear rumors. I want to take a DNA test. Why you don't trust me? Da, 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 da. And just the what if this is actually my child and I would not be in this child's life is enough to turn a man off from doing a DNA test and walking a line where voting, not voting, not voting, and they go through. And it just depends on you. But I believe for men specifically, we should not accept that. If you know you're dealing with a woman that there's rumors or
And you have
multiple
doubts in
partners
your
and you
mind.
have doubts,
Yeah.
go to take a DNA test. If she doesn't want to do the DNA test, you have to tough it out and pull back. If she does not come to you and you see another man there fathering that child, he was in the same soup you was in. You always still in the same pot, which means there's a possibility. And as a man, I would go to that woman and say, "Boy, Nigel, you know, I was the first man that she came to and tried to put it down on me. I asked for a DNA test.
What?
I think we should do the same thing."
Yo,
No, true.
no.
But yeah, listen, hear me out.
I don't have nothing to
Because
do
of
with
drama
that.
there.
I have nothing to do
Hear me
with
out.
that.
Because, hold on, it will now
I will not
start
be like Kiki
to
before
reverse
the
the concept.
Not my boy.
What?
It will reverse the concept
Stone
of
cold.
women using children as weapons against men because they are hurt. Because if you decide, all right, well, I'm not going to be in that child life because you don't give me a DNA test. And you now go bashing around and say, "My Carol, taking every shot, I want to take me to court." If you look court, I'm going to say, "Well, I asked for DNA test because as far as I heard, I was not the only man there."
And the court will
You
still
have-
come back and tell you have to do what they have.
Exactly. So then and I'll tell the court, if it is my child, I will backdate all what I have to do and I'll be present in the child's life. But if it's not
Definitely.
my child, it shows you as the individual who's not good.
Yeah, it does bring to question the loyalty in situations like that. But
Why did you choose me? Because
Yeah.
I was the better option? Because
Maybe-
the other fellow is not
maybe
good.
you're financially stable. You're financially
One
more
was riding
stable.
bike, but I'm the more stable one, so I'm the sucker.
Hold on.
You're the sucker.
This is a nice concept. Like they have, I saying my good friend and he say, boy, they have two women in men life. They have the woman, they have two women, they have two men in women life. They have the man they want to be with and the man they choose to be with.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out which one you are. Is it the one she wanted to be, or are you the one she say, boy, mate, have a good
He more stable. He's the better
he
option.
can't really whine like that one, but he will take
Better
care of the
option.
child.
Yes.
So you have to figure out which one you are. And if you have a doubt in your mind, it's best you take care of that early than you will fester. Because people that tell stories, people under pressure sometimes, they figure they don't have no choice. It's best you just figure that out there from early and figure it out. And if she want to burn you down for that, let her burn you down.
Yeah. That's the thing.
What I get Asher?
I agree. You definitely have to get in early and then figure it out. Take the test early, figure out what you're doing, and then come together and then have some kind of agreement. whether we're moving forward or not.
And sometimes you don't even use your mother that one to see that woman really telling the truth. And then you say, now I don't know what they are, that's not me. No, my God, it's not that. I want to throw my all into it. So just give me that assurance. Please, I look at that assurance. I really wonder who else you was with. What else you was doing.
And
Sometimes they cry crocodiles in front of you and they have two men hiding in the background. They say, oh shit boy, sorry for me. And the man will still go there.
now,
The man will still go there.
But that's,
Now,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
focus a little bit. Let's focus a little bit. So shifting on the same topic.
To the buffet?
Moving to geriatric pregnancy versus what we knew as teenage pregnancy. Let's just pick those two concepts.
Mhm.
You know that's the extremes. on
Right.
the end. What are your thoughts on those general things? Who's going first?
I'll go. For scientists to say 35 now is a
Hold on,
geriatric-
we'll wait for the record. How many children you have right now?
Me?
One. Okay.
Blame power. Blame.
Alright?
Something is true.
For scientists to say now that 35 is a geriatric pregnancy, whereas all of us here know there were people back in the day, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48 years old, having babies without complications, without different things. As individuals, we need to study that and figure out what is the problem. Why would I at 35 be a geriatric pregnancy and cause bone loss and what's this? There's a thing they
High blood pressure.
high blood pressure, gestational diabetes. There's another one, tricha, something, you know.
I know it's not true hormones you're talking about.
No, it's just something to when you're pregnant and you get high blood pressure and you get how much other complications while you're pregnant and whatnot. Huh?
Preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Right. There's a lot of things that we have to stem from, and then I always step back to the fact that it's our lifestyle, diet, exercise, and all these other things. And then teenage pregnancy, going back to it, is now it's illegal for a child under 16 to have sex because you consider it underage. But back in the day, people were having children at 15 and 14, and like steps 6, 7, 8, 12, 14 children, and having good families. And back then, the men were the breadwinners. Women were not working. And the family was still taken care of and whatever it is. So
It's what cheaper.
Thank you.
it was cheaper, but at the same time,
But that's a concept of the time. Think about it. Think $1 back then. How you would have to work then? The thing we have to work now for the $1.
Right.
So it's really-
No, but also people were a lot
But-
more
but-
self-sufficient at that time.
being cheaper,
They had their
think
own
less
gardens and
efficient.
shit. People used to do
but we
that.
still had one breadwinner in the house. The man brought the money home, the woman, so the man bought the house, the woman made it into a home. The man bought the food, she made it into a meal. Now, that concept cannot work unless you're making above a certain tax bracket. Just out of inflation and the way lifestyle is.
But then
Okay, so
And not just that. Also,
totally
the
defeated now. We don't have middle class society anymore. They are-
there is no middle class, and it's been gone for a while now. But also,
How to put us to it.
yes, it did. To keep balance. You have to keep balance, otherwise there's always going to be one out of the other. But my thing is that men are no longer the breadwinners anymore because majority of them don't want to elevate themselves. They don't want to go to school. Females in school, a lot of females in school, they thrive on finishing school and making some for themselves. But most men want to have quick money and fast and just go about their business.
we growing up in a system, and if we using what we talking about history and current time. The man that was breadwinning back then, right, did not have an academic record.
Nope, no
He
degree.
had the ability to do whatever was necessary to breadwin for that family. Whatever was necessary. I'm not talking about anything illegal or anything illicit, right? I'm just saying that he had the ability to do it. It was his job to do it, right? What we have now is a situation whereby we grew up in a system, and the system is actually causing that separation that we experience in. Because in our mind, we put career before family. And the concept of putting a career before family, spending 4 or 5 years in school for you to be able to get a $200 increase in your salary. That's what we're literally doing. You're spending 4 or 5 years in school, and then now you have to go back and pay a loan, $100,000, where that $100,000 loan you could have been paying would have been the money that would have been invested in your house. So we have everything walk. You go out, you can get a car loan like butter,
Yep.
but you can't get land loan like nothing.
Nope.
Right? So we have to understand that all what we want to match about men and women and pitting one person against the other is not the truth. It's how we rationalize.
part of the truth.
it, but it's not the truth.
It's part of the truth.
That
part of the
comes back
truth,
to my
though.
point about the systemic problems where I glad you raised that thing about car loan like butter. Now, I'm part of a credit union. I work in science, and I grew up with a father as a contractor. So I'm good with my hands. I can visualize mathematical concepts like interest, and I get to see what people spend money on. Now that car loan thing, that is a cancer to society. It's how the banks survive these days, I guess. You can give it to them and take it back from them very easily. And they figure if they could drive around, that's it. They don't have to have a house, they don't need anything else. Women in the workforce too, you cannot be the one bearing children and working and having periods, headaches, cramps,
Inside work for period.
all them things at the same time. So that just goes to show you the imbalance in the society. Now they will tell them, oh, you know, you can do everything you want by the end of the day. My only problem is I have to go and sleep. Your problem is once a month you're done. I see some men fall on the floor when they have the period, and you cannot fault them for that. That's the responsibility of being
Part of the cycle.
and it's for all of us to understand, but you cannot have your cake and eat it. That will keep you down for a certain amount of time. You cannot have the output. You will be moody, which is very understandable, but just know for that time, things different. Everybody have to understand you. Number one. Number two, look at the size of the houses. You ever have black men having a vehicle back in the 80s and 70s? So you have to be real special to get that way. Now, any teenage or any little boy have a little car driving, and if he didn't make it already, you have to invest in his pocket to make it already.
It's what's sold to you.
Yeah, that's the dream. And then what they doing? The rims worth more than the car. what really worth things? They don't care about that. They want to have. I say a man beg me for chicken at the chicken run, and the man have clothes with tags on it. Either in my slippers and shirt with my little daughter there. I said, "What's man? What are you begging me for, buddy?" Oh, I'm missing $10 to buy a chicken. I tell the man, "Well, go buy chicken. Go and buy something in the supermarket." You think anything about that? They will never think.
But instant gratification is what's been sold to
I
you.
have to
So-
buy that chicken there.
But Jason, going back to something you said, and I'll make a brief point.
Yes.
You could have a couple, husband and wife, renting for 10 years. They're making two good salaries, but where they need to rent is something like $3,000, $3,500.
Because you want to live in Bonte.
No, I'm
And
just
Capital
saying
State.
they might have two kids, and you know, so they want to live somewhere decent, and so they're paying $3,500, let's just say $3,000 a month for 10 years. So their lifestyle has not allowed them to save up enough money to go to the bank to get a house and land loan. But the banks will not look at the fact that these people have been renting for 10 years at $3,500 or $3,000 a month and have been good paymasters, and we can give them a mortgage that will be $1,800 or $2,000 a month, right?
I would agree with the bank.
And they would rather
Right.
give them
Because
Wow.
it's
car loan.
why are you renting the place
You
for
understand?
$3,500 and you never ask me how much for loan for?
But you can give me a mortgage. You can look at that and they will give you 100% financing on a car, but they'll never do 100% financing on a land and house.
You know why they would not do
Easier
that?
to
Because you
repossess.
have to show that you want
to show that
invest
you're
in
a master,
yourself
yeah.
Exactly.
before we invest in you. So you have to have your little savings. You have to show me you're managing your money. You have to put on 10%. And if you can't put on your 10%, you're not ready for that yet. You prefer to rent a house from somebody for $3,500 than to pay a loan for $1,800 and the lawyer fee and the closing fee and the down payment because you're not saving your money. If you're not saving your money, how can I trust you to pay me at the end of the month?
Yeah, but
Because
And-
things
and-
happen in life, things come up. You get
Yeah, suppose you don't want them.
Let's talk into issues that's current, right? When you come to building a house, you have to go and place the bank for a big mortgage. When you have, and vis-a-vis, back then you will say, okay, well, they have the advantage of having land already.
You said that.
Banking, no, you will say your
In some
family.
cases.
Who
In
had the
some
land back
cases.
then? Who had the land back then?
No, I'm just giving you an example.
But that's not a good example. Who had the land back then?
What the land back
I
then?
didn't have no land back then.
Well,
is where the chasers, that's where we have to go.
Okay.
Who had the land back then?
But at the end
The
of the day,
masters had the land back
at the end of the day,
then.
the masters. What I'm talking about, I ain't going all the way back then to the street.
going all the
I'm not talking, I
But
don't
it
want to
stems from
generation
there.
to me.
It stems from there.
Right? No, I know it stems from there. What I'm trying to tell you is that you'll see your grandmother was hustling, selling much. Like I'll use my grandmother for example. My grandmother was a roadside vendor, selling her bakes and stuff on a Sunday under the market. Right? Right now she has a house. Right? The land is hers. Her father acquired land, so all of them had a little portion of land. Everybody was able to get a portion of land. Henny, her father had land, so she was able to get a piece of land. Right? My mom doesn't have land. You understand? Because she was not as privileged to be able to have a mom or father to give her a piece of land like my grandmother's father did. You understand? The point I'm making is, over time, you will not able to provide, they will not be able to provide the better lifestyle for their children, given the circumstances, coming into a more organized system. Right? And I'm trying to make you look at it from the perspective of the organized system. What we experience in terms of the underpopulation experience or the declining growth rate is something that was by design a while back. It was by design a while back by that system that we're following. Right? I'll give you another example of it. We used to grow up going to Indies and nightclubs and having those kind of parties and, having those social interactions that will allow it
That's what $100 is
to
straight
have
fine.
the child, the offspring that you have, or the children that you have. You could use those experiences to tell you, that's how I end up having, or that's how I make your mother. That's how you understand?
Yeah.
That's how I make your father. So you have those experiences.
I never been
And then-
over
But at the end of the day, think about it
I
from
want
this
to stay with
perspective. The 18-year-old, the
Alright.
average 18-year-old now, what experience do they have?
Okay.
A cell phone in their hand.
Because we no longer have a social dynamic. People are no longer social.
Navigate. That's part of the problem.
We were talking about this on the drive down there, about kids back in the day. When as soon as you get up, the first thing you want to do is go outside and interact and do stuff. Now they tell a kid to go outside, it's punishment for them. And what go outside? And I can stay inside.
So we need to reduce, in my opinion, also fix those corners of you. We need to reconfigure the minds of our children so that they will have a different level of consciousness when it comes to.
So you,
Yes, one of the no, not necessarily, but wait, Nigel. What spaces do we have for them to go to? Because even me now, where are the social spaces that I could go and interact? We don't even have social spaces for our generation. There are no social spaces for the younger generation. All where you look is a bar somewhere to go and sit down and drink something.
go bars and churches there.
And then the other thing too, when we go to these bars and these feds, they're just going to pick up. They're really showing what really.
So I will
Exactly.
And then let me tell you the other part of the problem. A lot of people spend most of their life looking down at their feet or looking into a mirror. And all they get is just an echo of themselves. Instead of looking ahead and say, how can I move ahead? Not just for me. And I think that's the beauty of a child sometimes. You start to look outside of yourself and see something a little past yourself. Look, I have my child. What I really do with myself, that drinking thing, I want to see that child graduating and I might want to see a grandchild. They say you don't want your child to make a baby in teens, but at the same time, when they reach by 25, you're expecting to see something going on there. You expect them to be flourishing and flowering. I don't want to see them working all the time and not being social. So it makes you wonder what you do with yourself. I cannot be afraid to go to a dentist and tell my child to the dentist. You have to stay there, you have to take a blood test, you have to study, you have to do whatever you used to do. Oh.
And on that note, even things that you said earlier about investing in yourself, where's the investment in yourself? If you can't, for example, afford to have a home or whatever, but where's the investment in yourself in terms of pension? Where's the savings for that?
And how
Where's
can
the
I-
education?
how can
Whether you
I-
have a child or not?
How can I
Put something aside.
save for a house and I just spend all my money taking you to Big Chef?
True.
We have to see that before we see the exotic sun. I can't take you to
Just
Dubai
say,
or anything.
give solutions. We can't afford the solutions there. You may try to afford do it within your household, but your neighbor will contaminate your household.
How many people contaminate my household?
We can't afford the solutions.
You see, the problem is, a while ago you said something about women, single parents, have to be workers and have to do homework and so on and so forth. But you know something? In a situation of any single parent, I'm not going to say single mother, you could never be present in a child.
You could never be here, that's true, because you have to be
Very present.
working.
It's true.
You could never be
It's true.
child.
It's true.
You may think that you be present by doing and providing and giving and covering.
You split so many ways. There's only
We should tourism.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
when you see the parents working in the hotel,
I agree
right?
with that.
What time you get
So
to
they
do
don't
that?
get the whole aspect of family or parents in there.
Yeah, so that is
Yeah.
part of why we have so many little children. We don't have children anymore. There's no room.
So the heads.
If you already split so many ways, where the space do you get in to make all the children?
Agriculture, tourism, and
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really what
the main source of employment in tourism is the hotel industry, right?
I know that's a bit.
And you know how many children are sacrificed because they're murdered by their father.
have to work night
They're
shift.
working
Is that what-
fucking shifts in a fucking hotel.
Yep.
All right,
So we're too
they have
successful.
Hurricanes, and instead of being at home with your child, you have to be in the hotel
Yeah, no.
watching at guests.
let me allow our counselor to close out. What? 1 minute.
Just put me on the spot, Bill. So, in closing, I sincerely believe that we can take a look at ourselves and ask how we contribute into the problem of the social decline. Because right now we have a net negative in society, and I believe the problem is a lot worse than the government or the statisticians are allowing us to see. The birth rate declining, parents are not at home because they're trying to get the lifestyle for the kids. Back in the days where you were happy just to have a roof over your head and to play with your child, now you need iPad, iPhone, TV, cars, rings, jewelry, and everything else. So is it a case where maybe we just need to adjust our lifestyle to get a little further as a society? Or are we still going to be just pointing the camera and mirror back at ourselves?
Grown Folks Only Podcast.